What's good, y'all? It's your man DL Saint. It's time for a DL Short. Hey, for you watch people out there, this right here is not a Rolex. This is Invicta. This is the best watch you can buy for under $60. Looks good, doesn't it? Why is that important? Well, the fallout from Silicon Valley, Signature, and First Republic banks are ongoing. It's a problem, y'all. Now, I don't know what y'all been paying attention to out there, America. I guess you guys are too busy watching The Mandalorian and following this nonsense with Budweiser beer. But this is a real problem, and y'all need to be watching. We're about to watch a little bit from George Gammon's second channel, Rebel Capitalist, on YouTube. Please check it out. Rebel Capitalist, go over there and subscribe and like. And he's breaking it down for us. We're going to have a look right here, right now. Check it out.
Silicon Valley Bank, or Stupid Valley Bank, was actually the 10th largest bank in terms of lending to commercial real estate developers. And this other bank that they mentioned, First Citizens, if I'm not mistaken, was number 9. So they're talking about how most of these mid-sized banks, or most of the commercial real estate loans that were initiated, that were created, were by the mid-sized regional banks.
Which is funny because he's talking about First Citizen, and I haven't even looked into them yet. I know the First Republic got a backstop from the federal government along with help from other banks to the tune of $800 million, I think it was. $800 million. And I think they're still having problems. And then they got this First Citizens Bank, who is like really big in that mid-range banking that handles pretty much a huge chunk of the commercial real estate and small business loans that are out there. Let's continue.
Done by JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or Wells Fargo or Bank of America. So if we're starting to see massive cracks, which we are, in the commercial real estate business, this could be the second wave of that tsunami that hits the mid-sized regional banks and therefore impacts the U.S. economy. This might be what drives us straight into that recession that the yield curve has been predicting for the last 9 months or so.
And that's another thing too. If you look out, if you read anything in the financial sectors, if you're watching MSNBC or Fox Business or anything like that, all the talking heads are now saying, including some government officials, they're now saying we're headed into a recession. Remember before they were saying, no, we're not in a recession and this and that. And if you go by the traditional definition of recession, we've already been in a recession for a minute now, right? Shout out to Patrick Bet-David on the Patrick Bet-David podcast, PBD podcast. He spoke on this the day we went into an official recession. He talked about it on this show. That's the only place I saw it. No one else was talking about it. And the government officials were all saying, no, we're not in a recession. Come on now, smoke and mirrors, people. Smoke and mirrors. You got to pay attention. Let's continue.
So when they talk about some different data points, some different outcomes, they say a nightmare scenario would come if companies decide not to renew their leases or insist on much favorable terms. So what they're saying now, and this makes a lot of sense, that a lot of companies are saying, okay, guys, you can go ahead and work from home because what happened during the cerveza sickness. And this means that there's a lot more supply on the market, a lot less demand. So this puts all the leverage into the laps or onto the plate of the individual business that's renting that space. So now they can go to their landlord, and they know darn well, they sit there and go up and down the elevator in their own building. They see that it's completely vacant, except for their 10,000 square feet, let's say. And so then when their lease renews, then they can say, no, what are you talking about? We're not gonna pay you 10 grand a month. No. Try 3 grand a month. And if you don't like it, kick me out.
He's talking business right there. We all understand supply and demand. Supply and demand. You can't ask for top dollar if you got way too much available. If you're the only business in this building and you sit down, you're like, I don't want to go through moving or whatever. Yeah, you're gonna get to pay what you want to pay in there. Just like he said, you want me to sign a lease for $10,000 a month? Nah, bro, we'll give you 3. Oh, you don't want that 3? All right, we out of here. Now you have zero money coming in. Your entire building is empty now. Nothing. That's how it works.
Have a 0% occupancy rate in your whole entire building. Have fun with that. See, what are they going to do? They don't have a choice. So they've got to bring their overall rents down and down dramatically. Okay, what does that do to their income? Okay, then what does that do to their cap rate? You combine that with what's happening to the cap rate due to interest rates increasing, and you can see how this is just a complete perfect storm. And again, I'm going to connect these dots on the whiteboard in just a moment.
Now, I love when George Gammon breaks stuff down when he does his whiteboard talk. It's going to make a lot of sense, y'all. This is serious. And I mean, it's funny that Americans look at this sort of thing and they just blow it off. Like, that doesn't affect me. It does affect you. The government is coming for your dollars. The money they use to bail out the banks, to bail out Wall Street and all this other kind of stuff comes from you. But you don't get to use that money, do you? No. So, and there's a lot of talk out there about lowering interest rates. They say when the next time the Fed meets, they're going to leave interest rates where they are. And then the time after that, when they meet, they're going to begin to lower interest rates, if not sooner. That's another problem. The reason they raised interest rates was to combat inflation. If we begin lowering interest rates again, inflation is going to skyrocket. But let's keep watching.
Let's go ahead and go over there. I've got this pulled up for you. And again, if you guys like me just doing these super quick whiteboards, obviously I'm not taking a lot of time doing this, but if you like these additions to the live streams to help you kind of visually see it, just let me know in the comments, let Josh know, and I'll definitely keep doing them because it only takes me a couple minutes, obviously, to draw.
Shout out to George Gammon. I discovered him watching Fresh and Fit, and he's been a talking head on CNBC and Fox Business and stuff like that. He knows what he's talking about. He's a self-made guy. He understands the markets. I really highly suggest you guys go over and check him out. George Gammon on YouTube, that's one channel. He has the second channel is Rebel Capitalist. Right here, Rebel Capitalist. Please go over there and subscribe.
Something like this. Okay, so we start off with the guy at the top. We'll call him Real Estate Randy. Now, Real Estate Randy, his business is going out buying commercial buildings and then renting them out, let's say office space, something like that. And he bought back in 2019 when the economy was booming, right? And he bought in Los Angeles, let's say, because a couple of different reasons. Number one, he wanted the big tax write-off because of the depreciation. And number two, it's very liquid. I mean, Los Angeles, what could go wrong there, right? It's not like the homeless situation could increase or get any worse.
Y'all know I've been talking about the homeless situation in LA for a minute. It's gotten even worse, y'all. You won't believe how bad it is out there right now. But let's continue.
Party har. And then he says, who cares about the cash flow? I don't need cash flow. That's for losers. I'm going to buy in Los Angeles because we know the prices always go up. So I'm going to make all my money on capital appreciation. And we know the Fed is going to keep rates at 0 forever. So I don't have to worry about interest rates going up, where there would be other assets that would offer a higher yield that I have to compete with. Right? This is the mentality back in stuff.
Does this sound familiar? Right? Remember that movie, Too Big to Fail? It's an HBO film. And they were talking about this. This is what the housing bubble was about. That whole thing that happened in 2008 when it crashed. Everyone was thinking, yeah, it's only going to go up. Interest rates are low. Anyone can get into a house. They can go out and buy the American dream. People who had no business getting loans were getting loans. And then what happened? Interest rates began to go, the value of the homes began to go down. Once the value of the homes went down, the teaser rates went out, boom. The bubble collapsed. Y'all know the rest of the story. I didn't know the same thing was going on in commercial real estate. This is insane. Yeah, they weren't worried about the value of the building, but they were set on the fact that interest rates are never going to go up. And then what happened? Jerome Powell shot the interest rates through the roof.
19. So in order to buy this building, let's say he's going to buy it for $1 million. He goes to, I don't know, let's say Stupid Valley Bank, and he says, hey, I need some debt on this because I only have $200,000. So I need to borrow $800,000. And Stupid Valley Bank says, oh yeah, no problem. We'll give you a super low interest rate. Let's just say 2%. But it's a 10-year loan, but we have to readjust the interest rate, let's say in 2 or 3 years. So Real Estate Randy says, yeah, no problem. This is a no-brainer. So he goes, buys the building.
That's incredible. I didn't know the business worked that way. You get a loan, it's a 10-year loan, but they're going to be adjusting the interest rates as you go. An adjustable loan, that's what destroyed the housing market in 08.
Now, that loan that was just created by Stupid Valley Bank, that goes on the asset side of their balance sheet. And keep in mind, that is a collateralized loan. So Stupid Valley Bank sees this as money good. And what could possibly go wrong with real estate in Los Angeles? So then what happens? The Federal Reserve comes in and takes rates from 0% up to 5%. Wah, wah, wah. Alrighty then. So Real Estate Randy is now pooping in his pants. Trying to keep this kid friendly or family friendly. Why is he doing this? Why does he need to now wear a diaper when he goes into the office? Because he knows that investors, instead of buying his stupid building for 3%, they could go out and buy a 2-year treasury. They could buy a 6-month treasury for 5%. Okay, so why aren't they going to buy your building? So what happens is the price of his building has to go down to compete with the risk-free rate, i.e. treasuries. So the cap rate on his building, let's say, goes from 3% to 7%. And let's remember that now the amount of rent that he is collecting has gone down considerably since 2019. So the price of this building is really a derivative of how much income it's receiving and what the going rate of interest is throughout the market as far as the yield that you can get on risk-free treasuries, quote unquote risk-free, right? So basically, there's an inverse relationship between the cap rate and the price of the building that you can sell, or the price you can sell for. So his one bottom line here, the punchline, and this math probably isn't correct, I just jotted it up there just so you could get the concept. So the value of his building has gone from $1 million all the way down to $500,000.
So this is just business for these guys, right? These people go in, they were making money hand over fist, all as well. Interest rates go up. They didn't have, well, let's say they do have reserves, but they're not going to put good money after bad. So they're like, all right, so what do? They work the numbers. They work the paperwork. They're going to make that building its own entity. They're going to separate it from all their other business dealings. They're going to separate it from all their other businesses. They're going to make it stand alone, all by itself, either via LLC, S Corp, you know what I mean, or C Corp, whatever. It's going to be all by itself, and they're going to let it go under bankruptcy, and they're going to write off the loss. And they're going to walk away from it. It's not going to be a big thing. And it's not going to hurt their other businesses. It's not going to hurt the Dunn score of their other businesses. It's not going to hurt the credit of the other businesses. They're going to go on and continue to be rich. Like, I had that loss over there. Oh, well, that's what's going to happen.
And remember, he only has $200,000 in equity, which is now gone. Now he has zero in equity. But now, even if he gave it back to the bank would still have to take a haircut because they lent him $800,000 to begin with. But wait, there is more. Remember that Real Estate Randy has to pay back that debt, that $800,000. And after 2 years or 3 years, he has to renegotiate the interest rate, or he has to roll over that debt at whatever the going rate is. Okay, well now that all these regional banks are basically going bust because these loans are upside down, the collateral is way upside down, taking a massive haircut. If they go ahead and issue, first of all, most of the banks won't even touch Real Estate Randy's loan with a 10-foot pole. But the ones that will say, okay, Randy, we'll go ahead and roll over your debt, but we're not going to do it at the 2% interest rate you were paying. Now there has to be a massive risk premium because we see all these prices coming down. So we're going to lend to you at 10%. Okay. So he says, oh, I don't have a choice. I've got to take it. But we're not going to just lend you at 10%. We're going to lend you at 10% LTV, which means right now the value of your building is 500 grand. So we're going to give you 80% of that if you're lucky. So now instead of having the 800,000 rollover that you need, you're only able to get, let's say 400, and that's at 10% interest. So even if you somehow scrounge up the, even if you somehow piece the deal together with duct tape and spit just temporarily, I don't know how you do that, but let's say you were, now all of a sudden, what percentage of your income from the rents that are now lower are going to pay that, going to pay off that debt at 10%, right? Now, true, you're only getting 400 grand originally from the bank, but you somehow got to cover the difference. So bottom line is your debt reduction monthly is going to be staggering to the point where you probably now don't even have a 3% cap. Now you probably are cash flow negative every single month. Now,
And what happens? The whole thing goes under, right? So this could be what's going on with the majority of the commercial real estate industry right now. We're going to find out more on Monday. You know what I mean? As the week goes on, these are the cracks that they're talking about. Some companies are going to start filing bankruptcy, and that's going to be a chain reaction. It's going to make the banks tighten up even more. There's already a credit crunch. So now no one's going to be able to get money. Corporate people aren't going to be, get money so they can take care of their commercial real estate. Small businesses aren't going to be able to get loans, get money so they can grow or maintain their current businesses. Right? Do you see how this happens? It's a chain reaction. This is bad. But I guess America don't care just so long as they're getting what they want from the Mandalorian and they're able to go out and dump Budweiser beer. Man, y'all better get out here and start watching this, man. For real. I'm DL Saint. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Peace.